it's conference week here in Malmö, where I live. Nordic Game Conference, which means that I'll be running around like something that runs around a lot for the entire week. So I'm recording this a little bit earlier, and I'll be posting this on Thursday when the stream's supposed to be. So it's another time travel stream, even though this time it's not quite even a stream. It's recorded beforehand. But you guys know the drill. And I'm sorry that it had to be offline this time, but that was the only way I could make it work. What the hell? So I don't know what we'll do today. As usual, we'll figure that out as we go. But I figure we'll start by taking a look at what we did last time. So the big thing we did that ended up being not quite as big of a thing as I thought it would be was that we made the black holes grab multiple things. So one thing that would happen, or the reason I did this, was that when you're playing 3 or 4 players, because the black hole would originally, let's run the game. Originally, it would only grab one thing at a time. So if you threw 2 asteroids in there, the first one would be grabbed and the second one would just pass straight through. Now, if I can make this work, it's not entirely uncomplicated. So that one gets grabbed and then that one gets grabbed, and I can go in there too. Like if I go in here alongside an asteroid, like that, it will grab both of us. There's no escaping for either. Before, it would be safe to go in there as long as there was an asteroid in there. Meaning that when lots of people or lots of players were throwing their stuff in there, you'd get a line almost, like people or asteroids waiting to get absorbed by the black hole. It would become really strange, making stealing asteroids a little bit too easy. Sort of rewarding the kind of dickish behavior, which I want that. I just don't want to reward it too much because it's a little bit destructive. So the thing we did was that we made it, instead of having one thing that it's attracting and one joint and one start distance, we added those to a separate little class called attractee that does all. So we essentially just moved that code and then add it in, so it will add them to a list instead, and it will check that list so it's not attracting the same thing twice. Didn't take all that long, and it works pretty good. Works pretty well, I guess you say. Then a little tiny tweak that makes the player centering gravity, like the gravity that pulls you towards the black hole, essentially a little bit weaker. And then I updated my to-do list. And then finally we did vibration for the Xbox controllers, which you guys can't see on stream at all, but such is the nature of these things. So let's open up that to-do and we'll see what we got. And I'll change to that mode. Actually, no. Let's do it this way. You can kind of sort of see what I'm up to. Player in lower left and right has their score not resized properly when they win. I really need to get around to this one eventually. This one, I think, is today's guy. So when you're playing, you will get minus points for. So like I grabbed this asteroid, it's worth 290k. I put it in here. Now there's no way for me to know how much points I got for that other than looking down at the corner. But typically I don't have 0 points down here. So then I'd have to remember It's like, okay, how much was that guy worth? Blah, blah, blah. And I throw it in there and I go about my way and I'm just like, oh, I got points. Now that I think about it, there should be a little thing going from that, from the center of the black hole to the player. There isn't anymore. I wonder what happened to that. We're gonna have to investigate that. But the thing is, when you get absorbed by the black hole, it will take away half your points. So I'll get 7 or 360 something. And there's no feedback for that whatsoever. We just go down. So that's gonna need solving. So I'm thinking we'll add a little number that pops up over your head. And if you're at the center of the black hole, it would just pop up at the center of the black hole, like where you, like if I go in here and you go away, and it would just say minus 250, whatever. I think that's going to be enough to sort of explain what's going on. I'm curious. Let's add score lines no longer appear as they should. When I'm working on a project, I tend to keep a little to-do list like this, because like I'm doing something and I discover like, oh, hey, the score lines aren't working. And sometimes I just deal with it immediately, but most of the time I'll write it down and come back to it. But if I don't write it down, I'll just forget it. Nothing, not a very complicated working procedure, but it's a good one, so I can remember all the tiny things. So let's start with a score line. I think that's what I named them. Score line. We'll just see where that's being used. So it's probably in game somewhere. Score lines. Handle score change. Someone made a score. Does this run? I doubt it. No, this is not going to run. I think this is from when I changed where the scoring is. Yep, does not run anymore. Round timer events. Yeah, this score change guy. You do not exist anymore. So this is going to need to be on the player. Is there a player event? Yeah. There might even be. What did I do now? There might even be a score change event for the player already. Oh, there's a score event. We'll just rename this handle player score. That needs to be a player event. This might work, might not work. Hey! Well, the it ran, just crashed a little bit. So I'm guessing that might be what's going on. It's actually has a player, so that's good. Yeah, because the target won't be target is probably the asteroid I threw in there or something. I want you. Yeah, there we go. So that's cool. Oh, I closed the Git client. So we got this fixed score lines to work again after breaking them when moving scoring code. Now, I think we're just going to do like a number that will pop up above the player. The question is, should it? So there's several ways of doing this. You can think of the number that pops up like a particle in a way, like it will appear where the player is, but it's like hierarchically, big word, separate from the player. So like if the player is here, it will appear here, but when the player moves, it will stay, which will make it easier in a couple of cases, because it won't look as nice, because if you're moving, I mean, we can give it kind of the same speed. I guess we could position it to be kind of where the player is. That could work, because the problem is going to be when you get absorbed by the black hole, it will hide that player sprite, and it will hide all the children that belong to that sprite as well. So, and we want that number to show even when you're dead, so you know what happened. Just realized that keeping this is stupid, so I'll amend that. But that would, if we want them separate, that means we need to have like a separate container for that, which is going to be a little bit messy, however we decide to do it. I guess though we could just make it an effect and keep it in the effects container. That's a good idea. Effect score number extends effect. What the hell is effect rectangle? Oh, I'm not using that in this game. Well, you stay there. So we'll just steal that. So we probably want to put it at a position, but I think instead we're just going to give it a reference to the player, and we can get the positioning from there. We don't really need scale or color, but we do need like a value. And I suppose duration can be there. And then we can infer the coloring of the number from the value. I'm not entirely sure how we'll do that just yet, but we'll figure that out. I mean, there's multiple ways of doing it. You could have, I guess the sensible thing would be for the number to have the same color as the player, but you want to make sure that it's clear when you get minus points. So maybe that should be a different color. But then minus points would probably want red, and then that falls too close to the purple, which is already a player color. So we'll see, but we'll deal with that once we get there. So this is going to want like we'll just do something really quick to begin with. I'll just do a little fill here, make it crazy colored so you can see it. I'm thinking we'll have a little circle in the background that will be like 100 pixels wide, just because that's a nice round number. And then we'll make a text field. I think that's what I named it, yeah. Get default text field, let's say 24 pixels, and we'll make that black or something. or green, I guess. Actually, no, because that doesn't work. And we'll just go text. Text is, I have to cast the value to a string. Actually, no, we can just do this. Value, okay. And we'll do font settings. Didn't I don't have that code in this project. This is a useful little snippet of code. That will just center text field without using OpenFL's text centering, because I find it kind of unreliable. It might be better now, but this will just center it. And this also gives me the option to kind of tweak the centering and have it be different per platform and stuff like that. How do these effects actually remove themselves? Right. So we're probably going to want to do it so something like scale x, scale y. It's going to be 0. And then for the duration, we'll put these guys. Oops, that's not correct. Scale x, scale y. Put those back to 1 to begin with. Oh, hang on. Wow, sorry about that. No, that's the wrong import. That's the one. So I'll make it go up to 1. And then I suppose we'll just make it go away again after a little bit of delay. So those will be half the duration, and then we'll have a little stay in between, which is not going to go on this one, it's going to go on that one. And this also needs to be overwrite false. And we'll make it just stay for 0.2 seconds for now, see what that looks like. And when that is completed, it will run the handle complete function, which is on a superclass that would just remove this object from existence. So now we can go down to the score function, handle player score. And we can make that a little bit more compact. We can go effects, add new score something. Effect score number, or E player. Oh, right, we got to do the positioning as well. It would be useful to actually have the score number in here. We'll add that to the end. That's fine. That didn't work at all. Score, integer, it's going to be, I'll just make it 0 by default. A public field, I want that public field to be down with everything else. With these to be in a nice order, that shouldn't be an issue. That's value. Now I gotta make the positioning correct, which is not very hard at all. Actually, now that I think about it, we'll see. We'll do it this way for now. Then maybe we'll make it update and move with the player as well, because I think it's going to look a little bit silly otherwise. This might be super huge or super tiny. We'll find out. Didn't have an awful lot of text on it. It didn't stay for very long. But it is kind of cool already, but it's way too big. Just make it a third of that size. And I know why we can't see the text. It's because I didn't add it. We'll try that. See what that feels like. It's a little bit empty to do the stream without having you guys in the chat, but I'll have to manage without you for now, even though it makes me sad. Yeah, that needs to stay for way longer. So like make it stay for a full second and make the transitions twice as long. A good like rule of thumb is don't fiddle with like minor increments. Just like, okay, this is too slow, let's make it, or this is too fast, let's make it take twice as long. That's more like it. And then you can like divide and conquer your way towards the correct value. Maybe we should do a plus 200K. I don't know. So the text centering is a little bit funky because it needs to be centered vertically as well. And I didn't steal that piece of code, so I'll do it now. I am positive that I checked that box earlier. Go back to that project and we'll go into font settings. It resets when I change the project, I think that's what's going on. So these are really just like super simple convenience functions that will just measure the width of the text field and move it horizontally to compensate centering it. Font settings, center Y, text. There's a street just outside my window. That's what I'm looking at. There's cars and stuff doing things. So that's not exactly centered, but we can adjust that. So this is where the tweak thing comes in. So I want to center it at 0, but I can also tweak it. So I could say like, okay, it's centered, but I want to move it 20 pixels to the right. Because sometimes the font is weird, or it has some funky spacing, or it's not measured correctly, or any number of reasons can make it be off a little bit. That was far too much. How can it be that much? Am I being the silliest person in the world right now? Oh, I should probably use this instead. Because it's some OpenFL thing, like where it measures the font width slightly incorrectly. Or maybe it's just this specific font or something. I have no clue. But we'll see. Okay, so that also made it worse. Why is that? X minus blah blah blah. Blah, blah. I guess we'll put 5. See what that looks like. Swish. That's a lot better. Actually, it should probably be like 4 or even 3. So now I probably want to make that render the same, with the same kind of look that the score marker has on the asteroids. So it's the background color, colors, background with an opacity of 0.6. And I guess we'll just do white text for now. And this is going to need to move along with the player. I'm not entirely sure I am actually calling the update function on the effect collection, but that's fixable. It will be clear once I run this. Ah, I am. So now it needs to be moved up a little bit. And I think I'm just going to make it a tiny little bit smaller. Minus 40. Something like that. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. So yeah, white text is not great. So maybe we'll just try player. I think there's a color. Color owner? What the hell's that? Oh, right. I want color ship. So it's the color owner is the color the asteroid will be when you own it, which is the same as the player right now, but you might want to change that sometime. And I think we'll also do like a prefix thing. That is going to be value if it's bigger than 0. Actually, no, if it's smaller than 0, it will be minus. And if not, it will be a plus. And it's just easier to do it this way because the minus will be there anyway, but this way I can just be consistent about it. And we'll take the absolute value of value and we'll use that instead. So this essentially, we just strip the minus sign off it if it has one, and this will make this variable will be either minus or plus depending. Plus 260. Minus 10. This should be minus 125. Did I actually keep moving for a little bit after that? So I get absorbed. Okay, that's kind of funky. Need to do something about that. It's supposed to just forcibly set the velocity of the player to 0. But that works. I just need to differentiate between positive and negative scores more. But that is absolutely an improvement already. I think we might commit this already. Score number pop-ups for players scoring. Excellent, excellent commit message. I was going to do something. Just completely blanked. Was I going to do the coloring? Maybe I was. I don't know how. Maybe some kind of inverts thing. Also, I think I want to do something like float, not fiat, floats. So make it this way, and we'll tween offset y to be 40, or negative 40, and then as we're tweening it away, we'll tween it back to 0. That will make it kind of emerge from the ship instead, and I think this should be back instead. It's nicer ease, and this should be actually let's not use duration here, and this could be 0.3, and that could be 0.1. See what that looks like. What? It's got a linker error. That's never good. Oh, it's fine now. That's never a good sign. Maybe I should delay it so that it will only actually come up when the score line hits the player. Or maybe not. I think this is good enough. The question is now, what should I do about the colors? I can get a screenshot of this and try and paint on it for a little bit. Oh, it's not really what I was going for. There we go. Screenshot added. You can't see my screenshots. That's private information, you guys. This is what my off-stream screen looks like. It's very exciting. So we'll crop this out, kind of like that. That's awfully low res and kind of ugly, but it will do. So how would I communicate this being a bad thing? I guess the minus sign is a start, but like if this turned into a minus sign, it will look like this. Dear drop tool, why are you being yes, brush, please. Here we go. Okay, so it will look like that. And that's not really good. So I suppose I could change the color. Maybe that's what I need to do. Just make it this kind of pink. And we'll go value is less than 0. OB settings, color, no, colors, asteroid. And if not, it will be the color of the ship. And then I'm thinking I'll like shake it or something to make it clear that it's a bad thing. So maybe just keep that value as well. And then we'll do x plus if value is bigger than or equal to 0, we'll just return. And if it's not, we'll go x plus equals math sine of the h. This is a really useful little trick. So the effect extends the actor class. And the actor class is like my generic game object type of thing. And they will have like an update function. They have like this, and they will belong in these containers. And it has mainly one thing. Like in this game, they also have possibly a physics body and some other stuff. But one thing they will have is the age, which is just the time they've been alive for in seconds, which is really useful for this type of thing. That should be cosine. It should be sine h times 10. Just to like get a general feel of what's going on. So first we get some points. That's all good. And then we get some negative points. Yeah, so it was actually moving around a little bit. I'm turning off the removal code, but it was moving too far and too slow. So we'll make that go quite a bit faster. See what that feels like. You're coming with me. So that's kind of what I was going for. Still too fast now. So maybe half of that, and then maybe not quite as far. He said and made it 5 times further. $110. Minus 55. I like it conceptually, but it's also really hard to read. So maybe if we make it a little bit slower still and moving a little bit less, and we can actually turn on the removal again. I got these Xbox controllers, and I'm not really used to having the wired ones because they don't have the big, like the wireless ones has like a battery lump here, and these guys don't. It just feels weird holding them. 310K. I'm so good. Minus 155. Still looks a little bit janky. Don't know why I did that. Plus 200. Boom! I think I'm gonna make this even slower, like 20, but I'm also gonna make them not quite match up. So make that 21. Which will make them go like out of phase, so it will go like woo, which might make it worse or harder to read. But I want it to look shaky without being super shaky. I think that's what I'm going for. Oh no! I think I can probably lower the distance even more, like 1.5. I don't know. I think it's too slow now. We'll go back to 30. Make them a little bit further apart too, so they get out of sync faster. Ideally, you want like prime numbers, so they'll never go back into sync, but that's pretty good. It's not perfect, but might just be good enough for our purposes. So that's pretty good. We'll commit this. Negative scores look more negative. That's a pretty awful commit message, but that's apparently my mode of working currently. So this guy's done. Score lines no longer appear as they should. They do now. it is unclear that you get minus points, also how many. So it's still not abundantly clear that it will give you half your points off, but it's way less unclear now, at least. So I suppose this one is to be considered fixed. Do something about score lines for negative scores. I don't think we're going to do that. I think it's just going to stay the way it is. I am considering making that score thing delay. Or not. I don't know. Then we have the entire team thing. That's annoying. Yeah, question is what we should do for the rest of this stream. Maybe we should just look into that resizing. So this is also really annoying to test because you've got to run a full round and you've got to score. But well, this guy can get some points. We'll add a pink player. He can get some points. We'll add a keyboard player. Oh. Also got some points. Did that guy just get absorbed by the... And another player that will also get some points. This is going to be negative, but that's worth testing too. Because I'm thinking the score thing will actually... So that wasn't actually worth minus 79. But maybe that's fine. So I'm thinking this bug actually occurs when the window size is not the standard size, like if you make it full screen or something. It might also occur when you make it bigger. I'm not entirely sure. I should have set the round timer to be less. I can do that. Oh my god. Score. Timer, max seconds. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly... Oh, you can't see it because it's outside. Here's the issue. That's not good. And it actually corrects itself as it's... Okay, so maybe that's just the issue, that it's not running that little positioning code as it should. Player, score, view, make, huge. Yeah, that's totally it. On update. Update. That will correct the positioning. So we'll do this. Get some points. It's not on player, it's on score, I think. Oh god. Here we go. Oh, and I don't know how much of these awful sounds you can hear, but they're awful. I don't want that. I want this guy. I guess I need to add a second player or something. And then I'll make the round end. That didn't work at all. Put my controller on the spacebar. So why does this not work? String value. That's that one. That should be fine. Maybe the wind detection code is broken. Also not entirely impossible. If I put this in here, and I make the round end, no, I lost my points. No, I didn't. That's good. Okay, so that code does run, but it doesn't do anything. Is it because of that call? I'm beginning to suspect it's actually just making the wrong one big. We'll add in the update here. Update, and we'll try it with 4 players again. And if it does the yellow one again, because I have been reworking that part of the code, so it's not at all impossible that it's broken. So now we got a very clear winner. Yep, it did work though. It's positioned correctly, so that's good. But make huge is not being called for the correct object. So timer, winner index. Is this score even relevant anymore? I don't think it is. So that's old Crufts. That's old Crufts. Score reset. What use is this? I sort of forgot about this part of the nothing uses that, so that's good. You can just get rid of it. And we'll just rename this something. Timer tick maybe makes more sense. score is not used. Winner index, it has no idea about that. And we'll add another event here that's going to be timer end. I'm not entirely sure how this all fits together, to be perfectly honest. Handle timeout. Where do you come from? Okay, so that's done. Okay, that's strange. So this really shouldn't be here. That should be inside the timer. So if time played plus the sound trigger, I really don't understand why this isn't. And it can just be a private var. And that can also be a private var. I guess all of those can be private vars for now. Not that one. Okay, so that still needs to be public. If I seem confused, it's because I am. So this is going to need us to come back to it. So this, now let's take a look at what's going on here. Time played is that it's just calculated on the fly. If the round's not started, we just set it back to 0. If like a set amount of time has passed since the last time we updated, we will just dispatch a tick event to tell everything that's listening that, like, okay, this is happening. I have my own little event class that I wrote that is actually less complicated than the OpenFL event system. Invalid number of time parameters. Right. So I prefer using that. I don't know why I didn't do that here. So that's all fine and dandy. If the time played plus the time to run the sound trigger, basically if we have entered the end game, like the time where it's time to play the sound trigger, and we haven't played the sound trigger, we will set the flag that we have played it, and we will play the sound trigger. I am not entirely sure if timeout. Oh, right. That's so that if we are out of time and we haven't triggered that we are out of time, we'll run the handle timeout. And this in turn will dispatch a new round timer event. That will be round timer event, timer end. For it won't have a player, it won't have a value. Null, 0. Then, with the GUI, don't see why that needs to be a, then we can go timer, add event listener, round timer events, time, end, handle, timeout. So this is all very backwards and funky. Because before, the game class would tell the timer that it had run out of time. Now I'm inverting that, so the timer class will tell the game, hey, you're out of time. So now I gotta add the listener to the round timer. Suppose we can do it down here at the end somewhere. Round timer, event listener, round timer event, and handle. What the hell did I call that function? Handle timeout. This is going to break. Right, this function needs to take a round timer event. So that little moving around of things actually moves control away from the game class into a subclass, which most of the time is a good thing, because the game, like the center class, is going to get a little bit overloaded with stuff anyway. So that seemed fine to me. So does the GUI have access to the players? Yes, it does. Players. But it's not saving that. Or is it the teams? Get leader. Okay, so now we're in. So we need to do something like for team in teams ordered. Oh, that's not. I'm going to do that. So that's accessible now. I think the team that's in the lead is the one that has, yeah, that's the first one in the array. So and then we go if team score is equal to leader score. Can even do it that way, make it extra crazy. So it will look at what's the score for the team that's in the lead, and then it will loop over all the teams this doesn't actually, this doesn't even need to be, well, it kind of does. So it will return, it will figure out what's the highest score that anyone has, and if anyone else has the same score, it will also highlight them, in theory. So blue player, chuck it in the pit. Whoa, my lap is shaking. Green player. I want to make sure that the yellow player does not actually get that many points. And finally add the pink player. Okay, cool. So now the blue player should be the winner. This time we'll just wait for it. Exciting. Very discreet round end sound effect. I think that's right. That is correct. No, I'm not going to restart Smart Git right now. So correctly positions and displays the winner after round ends. And the to-do is going to need some more updates. I'm really happy we got around to doing that one, because that one was we've had that one for quite some time. We're getting there. This is actually starting to be like, I'm starting to have to try to come up with things to fix for this. There's still some stuff to do, but it's actually improving quite a bit every time I stream now, which is always a nice experience. Feels like I'm making a difference in the world. That's going to be the end of the stream for today, which is a Thursday, even though I'm recording this beforehand. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.